All right, I'll assume that you guys can hear me. Let me start live recording this. Good morning, guys. Today is March 29th, and we are already up 2% for the week based on the live trades that are taken on the live session. So as usual, we'll be analyzing US 30, gold, and EU. So currently, I am looking for buys on US 30, looking for sells on gold, and looking for sells on EU. So looking through this, let's see what we have. So I've started drawing two trend lines or a channel. Before, what is this? Let's see what time frame, 9. So looks like it's the last hour or so, 13. The last 2 hours before New York session starts, I've started drawing like trend lines, just a top trend line and a bottom trend line. Because yesterday we did catch a sell on US 30. However, we were in a bit of drawdown. So if I go into the group right here and go over that trade again, let's see this sell. No, this is okay. Here it is. So we did enter this sell right here. It was a risky sell because we had a trend line to the upside. And when we were analyzing this particular sell yesterday, we entered the sell because the 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time candle closed below the 9 EMA. So we were anticipating the retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly through the 5-minute time frame, and then that's why we entered this trade right here. So we used 100 pip stop loss, 100 pip take profit. So we were in drawdown about 80 pips, but then the trade reversed and came back down. Now, one of the reasons I've started drawing these trend lines before New York Open, about 2 hours before New York Open, is ideally to help us avoid what happened yesterday. Even though the trade did not hit stop loss, actually came back and hit full TP, as you can see down here. We had this trend line to the upside that was a New York Open trend line. So this was a trend line to the upside. So actually we could have caught a buy here just by using that trend line. So here we had two conflicting trades. Here we wanted to catch the retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly. So that was the reason for the sell. But we also had trend lines from 2 or 3 hours before New York Open that we could have caught a buy for. So that's the reason why I've started drawing this trend lines before that ideally go 2 hours before New York Open. See. All right, so if you're just joining, I'm looking for buys on US 30, but we need the first 5 minutes of New York Open to finish in order not to get faked out. The signals have been good. The signals that we've been receiving. I think this US 30, the US 31, this one, it did drop a little bit into profit. And I think Steven posted this. So it did drop about 40 pips into profit, or 30 pips. Yeah, about 40 or so pips into profit, and then came back reversed. So I'm also, so I did say I have an account that I'm testing every one of these signals right here. So I'm just currently testing the trailing stop, because what I want to do, I want, for example, if US 30 says 50 pips stop loss, 50 pips take profit, I want my AI to give US 30 100 pips take profit, and then trigger a trailing stop loss at 50 pips. So this is to help me during major spikes, like during news. So instead of just securing 50 pips, I can secure 100 pips. So right now I do have an account that's taking each and every one of these signals. However, I'm still scripting or coding the trailing stop option. So but so far so good. We did have some gold signals as well, and EU signals. But for those ones, so I'm not going to be reanalyzing all these signals like how I used to when I first released them, because as you can see, we have like 15 signals a day. So that's just too much work. So it's upon you guys to just follow the strategies to enter those trades for the signals. So we need to wait. So the first 5 minutes of New York Open is done. I do have this channel right here. So again, let's use that little tool within our trend, within our indicators. And yesterday I did post in the group that I revised the trial period for this indicators and increased it by another week. So you guys have until April 9th to use and test out this indicator, because after then, the Monday, which will be the 10th, it will be by subscription only. So if you haven't gotten access to these indicators, please go in the Discord and fill out that Google form. So if you go to the general chat and go to the pinned messages, you'll find just right here, the first pinned message, you'll find that Google form link. Just fill that out with your details. Give me your Telegram username. I'm sorry, not Telegram, TradingView username, and I will give you an invite. So again, I am still bullish on US 30. Let's look at the hourly time frame. Let's see a possible. So in the hourly time frame, we do see US 30 possibly coming and touching the 9 EMA on the hourly. So we can have a possible buy around this zone. This one would be a quick buy if it does retest this structure. So for this one, I wouldn't advise anybody to go for 50 pips. Take profit of 50 pips stop loss. So looking around, what do we have, right? We have the bottom of this trend line. So actually for me, I would rather wait for a good buy on US 30 at the bottom of that trend line. So I'll turn that off. That was just to show us the areas. So if we are looking for a sell, we would be interested in this red zone right here. But right now, personally, I am wait, let's see. So US 30 has started being bearish. So this is why we have to wait for the first 5 minutes. Let me just delete this for now. Let's give US 30 another 5 minutes to stabilize. So I'll turn that off. All right, so as I said, I do expect US 30 to come down here to retest the 9 EMA. So this will be the determiner. So this retest right here might be a quick, I'll just leave that on for now because I definitely expect some rejection from this zone. But I do, if you enter this trade, make sure, let's see where the stop loss would be. So ideally the stop loss would be below the trend line. So this would be a trade if US 30 comes down here because it would retest the 9 EMA on the hourly. It would be a quick trade. The ideal entry would be a retest of this trend line. But as we can see, this, even though you go for a 50 pip take profit and 50 pip stop loss, your stop loss will be below the 200 EMA right here on the 5 minute and also below the trend line. So for me, if US 30 does come there, I might enter for a quick, maybe 20 pips, because I do see US 30 possibly turning bearish. So we need to be careful because if US 30 breaks this 9 EMA, so if we do get, if US 30 comes down here, excuse me, if US 30 comes down here and we do get a strong 5 minute candle that that's bearish and breaks below this zone, US 30 might start dipping heavily. So we do have some trend lines to the upside here that are holding US 30 up. What is this zone? I do have another zone down here, 33,570. Okay. So based on the trend lines on my MT4, I do see this as a better buy because there's nothing other than the 9 EMA on the hourly, there's nothing holding US 30 from touching this trend line. So this would be a better buy for US 30. So since for here, personally, I look for quality entries. I would rather wait for US 30 here because I'll save myself about 20 pips. So I'll wait for US 30 down there. Gold, so let's draw the trend line for gold. All right, perfect. So this channel itself, let me see. Show trend. So we do have a death cross that came up on gold on the 5-minute. Gold is 50-50. EU is the one that's heavily bullish. I'm sorry, heavily bearish. So I don't see anything on gold right now, just a lot of consolidation. Also, when you draw your trend lines and channels, you want them ideally to be almost equidistant. I don't like that trend line. So I'll come to the 1-minute and draw from this high to this lower high in order to get a nearly equidistant trend line on the 5-minute. So on the 5-minute, if we go back, it's still not equidistant. So I'll leave that for now. Gold is still 50-50. EU, we have a sell. EU is heavily bearish. And EU for this hourly candle. So as you can see for EU, this hourly candle is breaking below the 9 EMA. So if this candle closes below the hourly, below the 9 EMA on the hourly, we want a retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly for a sell. So a retest of the 9 EMA will be around this 15-minute bearish zone. So let me draw this as red. And you can see we're also having a death cross on the 5-minute. But for this one, let's just be patient. We do have some bearish. Yeah, we even have a 30-minute. We have a 15-minute bearish high, 30-minute bearish high, 15-minute bearish low, 30-minute bearish low. And we also have like a 15-minute bullish high. But this 15-minute bullish high gets eclipsed by the bearish zones. So I do expect EU to come back here, which will align with retesting the 9 EMA on the hourly, and then for a drop down. So for here, EU, so we need this hourly candle to close. So this hourly candle is about to close, and it looks in about 18 minutes. So a lot can happen in 18 minutes. But my sell on EU will be there. I don't see any sell on gold. So again, 20 pips, TP 20 pips, stop loss. All right, so that's what I'm waiting on for EU. However, this hourly candle has to close. So when we get at 10 a.m., somebody remind me that it's 10 a.m. in case I forget. Gold. Let's see gold on the high time frame. So gold. Okay, so you see gold, this previous hourly candle closed below the 9 EMA. Look at what happened. This hourly candle is currently testing the 9 EMA on the hourly, which aligns with the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. So for, but personally, I am bullish. I'm still bullish on gold. Yeah, so I'm not gonna mark up. So a sell would be, if anybody's looking for any sell on gold, this would be the sell on gold on the retouch of the 9 EMA. But well, I'm not going to mark it up because I'm not taking it. I don't see any trades for gold today. But a sell on gold would be right now, a quick sell on gold. But I am not entering that trade personally. So the only trades I'm looking for is this US 30 buy and this EU sell. Because I do see a possibility of gold turning bullish. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if the person who was asking about how do you calculate pips. Honestly, like I used to have the same issue with that way back. But I would definitely, unless there's somebody who can give a very practical example, but for me, like I'm just able to see it automatically nowadays, because I can tell for EU, from 1.08500, 10 pips would be 1.08600. Yeah, but for such questions, I definitely recommend looking it up, because there's definitely like a formula if you want to get to the nitty gritties. But nowadays, I'm able to calculate pips automatically. However, if you're using TradingView, another way to maybe use it, if that person is here and they're a visual learner, if you want to go on TradingView and put in the long and short position, so either or, and just put it on your chart, just like as a demo. So 10 pips on TradingView for a Forex pair would be 100, right? So maybe use this tool to ideally give you an idea of what 10 pips would be from whatever price point. So on FX pairs, 10 pips is in hundreds here for this TradingView long and short position calculator. On gold, gold, let's see. Gold, 10 pips would ideally be the same. It's in hundreds. It's in hundreds as well. So a 10 pip movement on gold would be ideally like from 1900 to 1901. US 30, let's see, US 30 is in tens. So if you go to the long and short position, US 30, one pip is equals to, just put 10 ticks here. So I don't know if that makes sense. I'm definitely not the best person to explain how to calculate pips. But for me, after a lot of research, it just comes naturally. But use this long and short position to help you also understand more. So I'm still bullish on US 30, but the steam is definitely dying down. Gold is turning to bullish. That's why I said I wasn't gonna take a sell on gold here. EU, so this is what I'm waiting for on EU. And this is why we definitely have to wait for the closure of this hourly candle. Because if this hourly candle closes above the 9 EMA, then our bias for a short is done. So we wouldn't be looking for a short bias. So for me to sell EU here, I need this hourly candle to close below the 9 EMA on the hourly. So until that happens, I am not looking to enter anything. US 30, definitely not a lot of volume. On the hourly, we really don't have much. The retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly would be here, but nothing really coming up for US 30.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So you're mainly looking at the hourly and then you're entering on a 5 minute, because I seen that yeah, on the hourly gold was under the 9 EMA, but
Mhm.
on the 5 minute it was above.
Mhm.
So if it's above, is that like a quick entry, like get in, get out? Or
Um, So personally, I only look at the hourly if we don't have any markups around. So this is the third day in a row. By markups, I mean like this zones, hourly bullish zones, 30 minutes. So you see like where price is at right now, we do not have anything, right? So in order for me not to get faked out, then I'll come to the hourly. And then, so I use the hourly, the daily, the 4 hour when I don't have any markups around me. So it's like a day like today for US 30, I don't have any bullish or bearish zones on the 5 minutes. So that's why I'm coming to the hourly. And then that's why I draw my trend lines. And then I identify where is price likely to head. So I only use the hourly if we might get a bullish hammer candle here. If this closes as a bullish hammer candle, I will be buying US 30. Yeah, but I only use the hourly when I don't have any markups on the 5 minute. But if I had like bearish and bullish markups around where price is, I wouldn't even care about what the hourly is doing. If that,
okay.
yeah.
Thank
So yeah, you're welcome. I will be buying US 30. Ideally, your stop loss would be below this candle. So let's see how this candle closes, but it needs to close as a bullish candle. If that doesn't happen, in any case, if it doesn't happen, we might get a pump to the downside. So I don't think, yeah, so we're not gonna get any entry off of that. So that's another reason why we have to always, especially when I say wait for closure of a candle, you have to wait. Now, if we do expect price to come down here, this can be an opportunity to write price down. So if we get this candle closing below this trend line, that might be a sell to write price down to this zone, because I expect US 30 to come to this, to come and touch this trend line to the downside. So what I do here, so keep in mind right now we do not have any markups. These are, I do consider them higher risky trades, or maybe B setups. So here we don't have any order blocks around the, or personally I do not, maybe you guys do, because the way I draw order blocks is different from how other people do. But personally, I do not have any order blocks around this zone. So what I need, I'm just using trend lines right now. So I would need this candle to close below this trend line, and then I would sell US 30 to write it down to where I want to buy US 30 from, if that makes sense. All right, so you can see a lot of fake outs, right? So wanted to close as a bullish hammer candle, came back, closed below the trend line. This 5-minute candle busted through the trend line, is up above the 9 EMAs. So this, not sure if we're gonna get any trades today.
Michael, there's news at 10, so watch out the news.
Okay. So what's the news today? Today is what, Wednesday or Thursday? I don't. Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. Pending home sales. All right, that's fine. So we don't trade 5 minutes before news and 5 minutes after news. Gold, 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 gold. Yeah, and I'm not liking this trend lines on gold. I hate having such trend lines, right? Because none of them is equidistant. I love my trend lines being mostly equidistant. So the only trade I see a possible trade for is EU. So hopefully after the news candle, this hourly candle will close below the 9 EMA. And then the first 5-minute candle after news will retest the 9 EMA and close below, and then we can get that sell. And you can see prices rejecting from this supply zone, or from this bearish markups on EU. So it's ideally just a waiting game. But so we are up ideally 2%, around 2% for the week. So if you open this form that's available to everybody, on Monday we had a 0.875 win. On Tuesday we had a 0.125 for an average about 2% return. So these are only trades that I call on the live session and that I take. Yesterday I missed taking the first trade because it happened too quickly, but I did call it before it came up. Yeah, so if anybody has any question, now is the right time to ask, because we, of course, we are not looking to enter into trades before news. And there goes gold. So that's why I said I'm not looking for a sell on gold. Let's see where gold is likely to go. So we have this 30-minute bearish low. So a sell on gold would be if this trend line holds, and then we get a 5-minute candle and retesting this trend line. And so here, keep in mind, if you have a 30-minute bearish low, we do have a 30-minute bearish high, which I think is around up here. So 30-minute bearish high is around 1974. The bearish low is around 1967. Again, I do not trade 30-minute and 15-minute bullish or bearish zones if they're just by themselves here. So this 30-minute bearish low, it's by itself. It doesn't have like a previous daily high. It doesn't have any other high time frame zone around it. However, this is what I want to see for a sell, right? I want to see this trend line being respected. Yeah, but I think we're definitely better off just looking for EU trades and gold trades. All right, that's good. I think I see a possible. No, that's a low. Okay, never mind. So when you draw trend lines, this is what you want to see. You want to see rejection exactly from those areas. I also personally also get confident, and that's how we are able to get no drawdown trades. Because actually the first time that I started doing this, actually this doesn't touch this low or high. The first time I started doing this, I was always cautious and be like, okay, maybe I'm never going to get another no drawdown trade. But when I do my markups like this and I see like perfect retest of trend lines or marked up areas, that then gives me more confidence, or, improves my psychology when I, for example, say instead of buying US 30 here, let's wait for US 30 to come down here. And we've had like a lot of instances where we just say, let's just wait, even though US 30 goes all the way up. More times than not, we've had US 30 coming back, or whatever other entry coming back and filling us in. So when I say just patience, this is perfect for me. I want to see this rejection from this trend line, because this tells me that this trend line is a valid trend line. So more than likely, we have a high probability for winning this trade. And look at what we have below that, right? We have a demand zone. We have a 15-minute bullish high. We have a 15-minute bullish low here. So ideally, we have nothing but buy confluences down here. The only issue with this trade would be this possible death cross that would be forming on the 5-minute. But other than that, this trade for me is a golden trade. It's just a matter of time and patience. Same as gold here. Gold, personally, I am still bullish on gold, but we do see this trend line getting respected. Now, a sell for gold, this is, if I was to look for a sell for gold, given that this trend line is being respected, we do have this supply zone that's above here, around 1970 to 1968, so a 20 pip zone. So no, I need an arrow. So what I do see, or where I would look to sell gold, I do see gold doing this and then coming back down. Now, on the way back down, I would look for gold to close below the 9 EMA on the 5-minute, and then retest the 9 EMA and close below again for a sell. So that might happen in this zone. Another entry on gold. So it's either that, and then have some consolidation in here, and then drop all the way back down into a sell zone. Another trade for gold would be if gold breaks this zone and then breaks this trend line again on the 5-minute, closes below, retest the trend line on the 5-minute and closes below that, then that's the only time I would sell gold. So again, let me put that channel and see that trend channel thing. Yeah, so gold is in a bullish trend channel right now. So either a sell up here or just waiting for this to happen. So that's just a nice little feature in the indicators that you guys have access to. I think it's only in one indicator. So 1 minute, what hourly candle were we watching? It was EU. So look at that. They are literally playing around the 9 EMA. So this is perfect. This is, to me, this is perfect. This is what I want to see. So looks like we'll close below the 9 EMA on the hourly on EU. So for me, the sell, if this happens, I need a 5-minute candle to retest the 9 EMA and close below. And ideally, where that's going to happen, looks like it's around this trend line area. So maybe somewhere. So it doesn't have to retest perfectly. It can definitely break above and retest our trend line, but that's perfect, because if it retests our trend line, now we want that candle to close below, or to close below this trend line and for a sell. So look at that. They closed below the 9 EMA on the hourly. Let it keep going. If it goes up, I want a test of this trend line and closure below, and then that's when I'll sell EU. So we had a perfect test of the 9 EMA. I want this candle to close. So yesterday, like for this particular trade on US 30 at 11, we did enter on impulse. But again, I would rather wait for a better entry on the retest of the trend line. So whether it happens here, this trend line ideally should be good to hold. There goes gold. Gold dropped down. That's fine. I really wasn't looking to do any gold trades. But if gold is dropping down, then EU more than likely is going to follow suit. So we just have to be patient for this. So again, so let's see what the difference between this is. 475 and 495. So it's like a 2 pip difference. So I'm gonna start, I'm not gonna let this trade get away from me just because of 2 pips or 1 pip. So I'll just adjust my risk. So for this trade, I am going in with a 0.5 risk. And I just need it a little bit higher. If you want, you can jump into this trade for me, ideally. So remember what I told you guys about EU and gold. I just don't want to be left because of 1 pip or half a pip. So it's not going to kill you to jump in early for this trade. But I am waiting for it somewhere around the previous daily high. So this is Tuesday's high. So remember, for me, I normally start marking the PD high on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I normally just have the Monday high, Monday low, because I do not delete the Monday high and Monday low. And we definitely have a trend line here also that's holding price up. So I need this to come up. So we have 2 minutes. Yeah, so there's definitely a trend line here. So that's what's holding EU down. So if this candle does close like this, I will sell EU on impulse. There you go. I needed to come back. I just want a good entry. Okay, there it is. I know I did say we don't trade 5 minutes before or after news, but since this zone is good for me and the stop loss is wide enough, I'm in an EU sell at that zone right there. So the best is to wait for this candle to close, but personally I entered early. I would feel better for the stop loss to be above here. So maybe here the stop loss should be 25 pips, but for me, I'll leave it where it is right now. So currently in an EU sell, US 30 is not really moving. So gold, I'll go ahead and delete this. But at least for gold, we know that this trend line is being respected. So I'm still not looking for any gold trades for now. So EU sell for 20 pips, 20 pips take profit, 20 pips stop loss. The trade is currently in profit, no drawdown, but that doesn't mean we can't get any drawdown because I do see this trend line getting tested. I'll come back here. All right, so we are in a sell trend for EU based on that little feature in our indicator. So this is what I want to see when I'm in a sell. So long as we're in here, so for a scale in, you can see a possible where you'd ideally possibly look to scale in if this position gets goes against us. So ideally around this lower high, but I do anticipate EU to drop right now, and there you go. US 30, let's see. As much as I love US 30 today, it's literally letting me down. But this is patience. This is a game of patience at this point. Let's see if there's any trend line on the 1 minute from the upside, from the new high that's been created. Not really, because it would have gotten broken. So we just leave what's there on the 5 minute. Yeah, I don't like gold as well. So there goes EU. We should be up. So again, risks 0.5%. So I'm up. So I think this trade is up, what, 5 pips? And there you go. So hopefully we get this death cross to materialize. Does anybody have any specific question? Because right now it's mostly just a waiting game.
What's the longest you've ever seen a pair trend before it come back and retest the non-EMA?
Okay. What's the longest I've seen a pair trend? Okay, so let me clarify your question. Are you looking, ideally, would you be looking to catch a reversal, or do you mean like for the signals that we are getting and you want to get a retest of the 9 EMA? Like in what particular strategy would
No,
you
this is just in general. Like, have you seen it where it's trending for extremely long before it ever comes back to the non-EMA?
Yeah, definitely. Especially before news days or before, I don't know if I can find. Well, it definitely retest. Let me show you an example and you let me know if this is like what you mean. So I've seen, like, for example, well, let me put it this way. I've seen, for example, EU or even US 30 get held up by the 9 EMA. So I've seen maybe EU trend for, I think EU, if you look at the hourly, it's been trending. Okay, so picture this, don't consider it so picture the EU 1 hour chart as a 5 minute trend line. Oh, I'm sorry, as a 5 minute chart. Or actually, let's consider it as a one hour chart. So this is what I've seen, right? I've seen a pair getting, whether it's on the hourly time frame, whether it's on the 5 minute time frame, I've seen a pair getting support from the 9 EMA. So look at the hourly, right, on EU. EU has, when it first closed above the 9 EMA here with this bullish candle, the next candle tried to break back below the 9 EMA and closed above. So ideally, this was a perfect buy for EU because we had a strong trend to the downside. And then right here, we didn't have any candle. So this candle closed above. This was a gap. So this was a weak opening, whatever. So I wouldn't really consider that. So for a buy here for EU, I would have waited for another candle, hourly candle, to close above the 9 EMA, wait for the next candle to retest the 9 EMA and close above. So this next candle didn't quite retest the 9 EMA, but this here would have been a buy on EU, possibly gotten stopped out. So you just wait for the next hourly candle to close above. You got this candle right here. It closed above the 9 EMA. The next candle retested, broke below the 9 EMA, tried to close below the 9 EMA, but guess what? You had a reversal to the upside. Now you would buy EU here. Now guess what happened, right? That whole time on the hourly, at the very least, candles were just retesting the 9 EMA. So they were just being supported by the 9 EMA all the way up. So at no time did the candle close below the 9 EMA, and then you had the next hourly candle retest the 9 EMA and close below until here, until I think this was yesterday. So this is what I've seen. So if you consider, for me, the answer to your question is yes. And if you consider how long this was 76.70 to 86. So 86.70 would be, no, 76.70. what's the pip thing for this? Let me do this. So this movement. So this is around, what is this? Around, is it 100 pips? No. 672. So this is almost, God, when I try to calculate pips like in a long distance, this ideally would be, I think it's around 100 pips or 200, and this is on the hourly. But if you go on the 5 minute, I've seen, especially during heavy news, like assets like odd JPY, sometimes GJ, I've seen it trend for up to 500 pips without closing above the 9 EMA. So I've seen, at the very least, I've seen that get tested. I've seen the 9 EMA getting tested during a trend. But for a candle to close below the 90, below or above the 9 EMA, depending on what direction the trend is, and then retest and close above or below again, I've seen some of these pairs go continuously trending for 500 pips without any reversal. Yeah, looks like looks like I also need to go back and learn how to calculate. I'm better at calculating 20 pips or 30 pips, but when I try to calculate like a long range pips, sometimes I guess the best of me. But yes, but to answer your question, since I've definitely journaled some of these things, I've seen pairs go trend continuously for up to 500 pips. Because definitely there was one time I had a live account and I was holding AJ, and that thing trended all the way to 500 pips, hit my stop loss, and then reversed all the way back up or down. So if you're definitely, I would say if you're a swing trader, depending on the risk you're taking, not the 500 pip or 300 or 450, 400 pip move rarely happens, other than it's after heavy news or before heavy news. But if you're a swing trader, I definitely recommend maybe having a stop loss of between 80 pips to 150 pips if you are a swing trader. So maybe if you're trading the monthly candle and things like that, plan on having maybe an 80 pip stop loss at the very least. So there goes US 30. I wanted to write it back down, but unfortunately I do not have, oh, let me move this up. I do not have anything to write US 30 back down. So this is the first time it's closing. So this time it's closing below the 9 EMA for the first time. If we're expecting US 30 to come back down, it's closed below the 9 EMA on the 5 minute, retested the 9 EMA, and this candle is closing below. The only issue, so this would be a sell, but the only issue would be a sell to write price back down. So remember, I am waiting for price to come back down. But the only issue with this, price doesn't always have to come back down where we expect it to be. So the only issue with this, the sell is around the trend line. So they can actually use this trend line to push price up. So they can literally do that, retest the trend line that way. And then the next candle opens, retest the trend line. And then so keep in mind, I am bullish on US 30, so they don't have to come back down to where we are. So they can do this, even though, so I'm just looking for an area to write price to the downside. But since I don't have any any bearish zones here, there's no need for me to risk selling US 30 here. Even looking at my trend lines on MT4. Okay. Yeah, honestly, I would rather just wait for the buy down here. So we should have a trend line. Is perfect. This is what I was looking for. We should have a trend line established because I saw it on the 5 minute. So on the 5 minute, this is a hanging trend line. On the 1 minute, this is an established trend line. All right. US 30. Okay. So as we wait on this, Short position 50. Again, this would be a risky sell. So I'm waiting for this to happen. Because I definitely have these trend lines and multiple trend lines here on my MT4, but I need US30 to come back up. For a better visual of what's going on, let me first get rid of this buy right here. I want to see what happens on the 1 minute time frame at this trend line. I want to see a perfect retest and perfect rejection on the 1 minute. So there you go. On my MT4, this trend line is a bit high than where it is right now, but MT4 and trading view trend lines are definitely different. Oh, at the very least, let price come to the 9 EMA on the 1 minute. And then at that point, I will sell US30 to ride it down to this 570 area. How is the EU trade going? So the EU trade is in and out. This is not good for our buy, because you have this closure above the trend line, closure below the trend line. So the 9 EMA is supporting the buy momentum on this EU buy. So just keep an eye out on this.
I thought you were in a sell for EU. No?
Yeah, I'm in a sell, but I'm saying this is not good for our, did I say buy? This is not good for our sell on EU. These candles that are playing with this trend line, it's breaking above, breaking below. And then you have this 9 EMA. So look at all that rejection by the 9 EMA. So just, I'm just saying that, just keep an eye out in case anybody wants to get out early, or just ideally just know that the 9 EMA is holding price to the upside exactly. So just be on the lookout for that. But I'm gonna hold all my trades. I will enter US30 here for a sell. I forgot to change my risk. So I'm in with a 0.375 risk. So that's fine. I was gonna up my risk during this trades, but it's fine. So I'm in a sell for US30.
So for EU, wouldn't that be like breaking your rules? The fact, because I never saw it close below the 9 EMA. It kept closing above. I know you got in early, but that's why I didn't get in, because I was like, I never saw it close.
So the entry we use for EU is this retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly. So
okay.
Yeah, so remember, the only time I don't wait for closures is the signal. So if I get, so for example, AUD USD buy, I wait for the retest of the 9 EMA. If I'm in front of the screen, I do not care whether it closes above or below. I just need a retest in that particular time frame, and then I sell on impulse. This strategy for gold, this hourly retest strategy, I don't care whether it closes above or below. I just need the perfect retest. Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely, yes, to be safer, yes, always wait for a perfect retest. Again, personally, the way I enter doesn't have to be exactly the way you guys enter. But for me, it's only 2 instances where I enter on impulse. Retest of the 9 EMA upon getting a signal, or retest of the hourly 9 EMA by the 5-minute candle if the previous hourly candle has closed above or below the 9 EMA. But it has to be in line with the bias. So for me, for today, so let me reanalyze this US30, right? So when we started the live session, I said I am looking for a buy on US30. The perfect buy for me is right here at 570. So it's at the bottom of this trend line, right? So there's no need for me to waste all this space. So definitely it is a risky sell right here, because I said US 30, for example, can retest this trend line and shoot all the way back up. It is a risky sell, but I don't want to waste this space in between here if I expect US 30 to come down here. So, but yeah, the best thing would be to wait for confirmation. So right here would be that confirmation you had. So this closed above, this closed below the trend line. The next candle closed, retested the trend line, tried to close above and closed below. So right now, if you're being careful, there goes your entry. It's not that much difference from where I entered from. Yeah, but definitely, yes, for you guys, unless you know what you're doing, always wait for confirmation.
On EU, you're saying entry for a buy or for a sell?
No, for this sell that we're in. Did I say buy? No, for this sell
No.
that, yeah. So for this sell, if you wanted to wait for proper confirmation, so I did say watch this trend line. So you had this candle closed above the trend line, but the next candle closed below. Remember our strategies, we need a closure, we need a closure below, retest of either the trend line or the structure, and closure above or below, depending on what you're looking for. So here, if you're looking for, and you want to be careful, here, if you're looking for the sell on EU and you want to follow the strategies to the T, wait for when a candle will close, the 5-minute candle will close below the trend line. Wait for the next 5-minute candle to retest the trend line and close below the trend line. So for example, this is the only, so after this push up, this candle closed above the trend line. The next candle closed below the trend line. The next 5-minute candle closed below the trend line. So then you get, that's your first confluence. The next candle, you want to see what happens to it. So the next candle starts off as bullish, but comes back down. So that's your retest and closure below. So then you'd enter on the next candle. And right now the trade would be in slight drawdown. For me, I entered early. The trade is at break even for me.
So I thought you would want, I thought you wanted it to close below the, is it safer when it closes below the 9 EMA on the 5-minute?
No, so here, so how do we enter trades, right? Retest of 9 EMA, that's number one. Retest of retest of 9 EMA, retest and closure below the 9 EMA or above, depending on what you're looking for. Retest and closure below structure, or retest and closure, and structure is like this lower high and lower low, or retest and closure below the trend line. Okay, for me, the 9 EMA is so far down, right? So I want the optimal entry. So what was the optimal entry for me? The optimal entry was retest and closure below. If I was using the strategies to the T, the optimal entry would have been retest and closure below the trend line, because the trend line, it gives you an earlier entry than the 9 EMA. Remember, so long as you're just stick to your bias, right? So for me, my bias for EU is still a short. So if I'm selling, I want to sell high instead of, I would rather sell at the highest instead of selling at the higher, right? So for me, of the 3 entry points, the trend line, the structure, and the 9 EMA, the highest one for me was the trend line. So that's why I'm not really concerned about what the 9 EMA does for this particular entry, because the 9 EMA is below the trend line. So if I'm selling, I want to sell at the most optimal point. So which is why I use the trend line for this sell and not the 9 EMA.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also if you're using the trend line for anything, always make sure that the trend line holds, right? Like right now, if we get a closure, if price goes all the way up and we get an established lower, higher high here, that might be an opportunity to close your trade early, because it might mean that this trend is no longer valid to the downside. So long as price remains below this lower high here, I am holding this sell. There goes US 30. I entered this with a 0.375 risk. I forgot to change my risk on US 30, so that's fine. So look at where the take profit would be around where we expect US 30 to bounce from. So I do expect US 30 to bounce from 33,570 area. So I might not hold this trade to full take profit, I might just scale out here. But remember, with our new strategy, when you're 50% in profit, so ideally for this trade, 25 pips in profit, secure half and set break even. And there you go, another pretty much no drawdown trade. It is up about almost 20, it's going to 15 pips profit. Perfect. And EU is coming back down. This is what I want to see. Such a candle shows that there are sellers here. There you go. Yeah, I'm not trading gold today. I don't see any trades for gold. There you go. So right now, we do have a trend line to the upside, but at the very least, I do expect. So here you go. We also have a potential death cross coming in. So I do see this trade, the 5-minute touching the 200 EMA. If we are to get this death cross or coming to this bullish high, bullish low. So there's nothing really keeping US 30 up at this zone right here. Now, 83. No, that wouldn't. Okay, we want to see what happens here. I was seeing if a bullish hammer candle forms here, it would be a bullish hammer candle, but for me, it wouldn't count because the wick is 601. The wick is about 16 or 15 pips. So I wouldn't even take it. So there's nothing really that would cause US 30 to go up. At the very least, even on my MT4, the nearest trend line is around here. So I'll just hold on to that trade. But definitely use proper risk management. There goes EU. Perfect, perfect, perfect. EU. So EU is in, what is that? 5 pips, 5 pips profit, about 5 pips. Nice. This is what we want to see. And this might be the only trades that we get today, because if US 30 comes down here, even to this zone, at the very least, maybe it will go up for 10 or 20 pips, but I do see everything turning to bearish. So I'm not sure if it's worth catching the buy on US 30 here. Maybe the buy on US 30, it's better to catch it in this demand zone. So maybe wait, maybe during later on in the day, if price does descend here, if price descends here and then breaks below, maybe waiting for a price to break above this trend line and into this demand zone, maybe that would be the buy, but buying here might be a little bit risky for us.
So Michael, do you draw your trend lines also on MT4 or just TV?
I always draw my trend lines on MT4. So so here, the reason I'm drawing this, so what I went over, so you guys remember yesterday's sell on US 30. Thank God we used 100 pip. Let me go back. So the reason I've started, I don't draw all my trend lines on TradingView. So going forward, I'll only be drawing the trade on TradingView. So all my trend lines, always all my trend lines on MT4, I do not delete them. On TradingView, I will only be drawing the trend lines that have been formed between 2 and 3 hours before New York session on the 5-minute time frame. The reason for that is, so yesterday we had this trade right here, right? So this trade is similar to this EU trade right here. So yesterday we waited for US 30 to close below the hourly, right? So this was around 11 when we entered this trade, 11:05. So we waited for US 30 to close below the hourly below the 9 EMA on the hourly time frame, and then we waited for a retest of the 9 EMA, the hourly 9 EMA by the 5-minute candle, and then that's when we entered this sell. Now I did say it was a risky trade, and because of that, I said instead of our normal 50 pips stop loss, let us use 100 pips. So we went into drawdown like 80 pips for this trade, and then came back down and secured 100 pips profit, right? But if you look here, these are trend lines that are drawn when the session started, because you guys remember yesterday I said I forgot to draw my trend lines on MT4. So I was actually using TradingView to draw my trend lines, to identify the trend lines and then draw them on my MT4. So this particular trend line here, either this one or this one, was one of those trend lines that show up 2 to 3 hours before US or New York Open. So actually here, I noticed that we could have, because I spent a ton of hours back testing yesterday. So I realized instead of this sell, as we were waiting for this sell maybe later, we could have entered a buy here because we had this candle that tried to close below this trend line and then closed above. So in any case, we should have entered a buy on US 30 right here, like around this, when we had this retest of the trend line and closure above. And then we could have caught an easy 50 pips with literally zero drawdown. So the only trend lines, personally, I am showing you guys on TradingView are trend lines that have been established the first 2 hours, 2 hours or 3 hours before New York Open. So it's upon you guys to then keep drawing those trend lines on your MT4. If you prefer having a lot of trend lines on your on your TradingView, because I don't like all this horizontal diagonal lines. So if you guys prefer those, sure. But for me, I always have my trend lines on MT4. There you go, EU. So right now, you can secure, so there's a trend line right here holding price up. So, but right now I will secure 50% of EU and set break even. And set break even. There you go. So right now the trade is risk-free for me. I already secured. So I'm getting used to this securing 50% because personally I just let trades ride. But you know, it's ideally also a psychology thing. But there's definitely a trend line right here that's holding price up. But I do expect EU to keep going. But if there's a trend line holding price up, look at this. We are in a demand zone right here. So we're coming into a demand zone. So like if I show you guys, I know I always show you guys almost always show you guys my MT4. So let me give you a snapshot of my MT4. So hopefully you guys entered those trades. When I enter a trade these days, just let it play out. If you lose a trade, just lose it if the trade made sense. So this is just my trade manager that I'm using to manage my trades. So this trend line right here, you can see where price is rejecting from, exactly from my trend line. Here's where my TP is. So my TP is at another trend line. You can see I'm at break even. My trade is at break even. So you can see how this, I do not delete my trend lines on MT4, and I just zoomed out so that you guys can see how far they go. But so you can see there's some as far back as 29th. Oh, this is still today. But not that I drew them today. So these are coming from maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, who knows, maybe a month ago. But when I'm trading, since I've zoomed in my MT4, this is ideally all I see. I see this zone right here. So that's just me. I know Livy does it too, and he's definitely shown you guys how he's made a lot of money just by trade. So literally for me, I can trade trend lines by themselves. But also, if I'm looking like, for example, for a sell, so when I told you guys I was looking for a sell on US, on EU, there was also this trend line right here, right? So I also want to see how price is reacting from this trend line, because this trend line held price here, is holding price there, and is holding price there. So for me, breaking of this trend line and getting more confluences tells me that, oh, your sell is valid. So yeah, so that's just a snapshot of it. So same thing for US 30, same thing for gold. I have ideally the same setup or the same trend lines. Share screen. Let me minimize this. Share. Okay. US 30. We just need this to, so we can see how the 9 EMA is holding this. And you guys saw on my trend lines for EU, as much as there are trend lines, there's a trend line rejecting here. There's definitely trend lines to the upside here that should hopefully hold price up before price goes back to break even. So this trade is break even for me. I secured half. So risk-free trade, minimal drawdown trade. US 30 is ideally then no drawdown trade. And there we go. For this one, I'll just hold it. But let's see. For you guys, if you want to secure half, I'm not sure. I'll secure. Let's see. How far are we in profit? Let's see. I might just let this ride. And at the very least, set break even though I'm not securing half. Let me see how much I'm up for the day. I am up. Custom charge day. Okay. So I'm up 0.125. So ideally the target is being up 0.5% each day in order to pass any phase one in about 2.5 weeks. So personally for me, this trade, I'll let it ride because I forgot to change my risk on this trade for US 30. So I wanted to risk 0.5%, but I'd put in 0.375. So for me, I'll wait until this whole trade hits take profit. But at the very least for you guys, if this trade is 25 pips in profits, secure half and set break even. Does anybody have any questions as we wait? US 30 is definitely moving slowly today.
Yeah, for your trend lines, do you, for like a sell, you start at like the higher high?
What do you mean a sell?
Well, let me just rephrase the question. How do you draw your trend lines?
Okay, so for my trend lines, definitely. So how we draw trend lines. So for me, I always draw them on the 5 minute. Yes, there are times I start on the 1 minute. I'll explain when I start on the 1 minute. So if I'm drawing them on my MT4, my MT4 chart never goes to the 1 minute. So if I'm drawing them on my MT4, I actually don't need these structural areas because I don't have that on my MT4. So I can just subconsciously see them. Now, if you want to draw them from trading view, a trend line should always start at an established high-low area. So for this trend line, I drew it because we had a higher high, and when I started drawing my trend lines, we already had this lower high. So I drew it as an established trend line. So this lower low had not been established before. So I just drew it as a hanging trend line at first because price was around this candle. So initially this was the trend line, but when this lower low was established, I drew it there because ideally you always want your trend line to start from an established high low and to connect to another high low area. Now, the times I draw a trend line on the 1 minute, for example, here, I saw this. So remember, this indicator is lagging, this high-low indicator is lagging. So when price was around here, this higher high had not been established. But I knew when I go to the 1 minute, this higher high will be established on the 1 minute. So that's why I came in and I drew this trend line on the 1 minute. And when I came on the 5 minute, ideally, it was still a hanging trend line until this higher high was established. Still, it was a hanging trend line. Right now, it's still a hanging trend line because remember, a static trend line, you need two high-low areas to connect to. So right now, this is still a hanging trend line because this zone has not been established as a lower high, but we expect this zone in the future to be established as a lower high. So that is how I draw my trend line. In short, always draw your trend lines. There you go. US 30 set secure half and set break even for that trade. Let me see. What do I want to do for this trade? Honestly, I will close EU and US 30 right now, because if I do that, I will be up 0.5 for the day. So yeah, but for you guys, set break even, whether you want to secure half or not. But right now I am up 0.5%. So you see how I forgot I had trades running. So I just told you guys that I was only up 0.125 for the day, like 0.12 something. But then I forgot I had trades running. So right now I am up 0.5. There you go, full TP on that trade. Easy trade, no drawdown. I expect EU to follow suit. Gold has a mind of its own. So remember, based on all that's going on in the financial industry, I am still bullish on gold. And that is why I say do not sell gold here. Perfect trades, 2 trades back to back. So this one straight into TP. That's why I love US 30, because it gives us a lot of volume. US 30, it's where my buy was, but I am not looking to buy US 30. We have this death cross. So you can definitely make a little bit of money here, like 10 or 20 pips. But based on how I know US 30, it can literally fall like either with one candle or a waterfall. But I do expect this trend line to be established right here. But I'm not, if you're buying US 30 here, only go for 10 pips or 20 pips. So let me give you an example of how you would do that and how also you'd get burnt, right? So for somebody who was waiting for US 30 here, goes for 20 pips, profit, maybe even 20 pips, stop loss. Let's see where you'd be at. So your trade would be at around break even. But let me show you how you can easily get, even for 20 pips, you can get burnt here. But I do expect this trend line is established. It's a static trend line because so you don't want to do this on hanging trend lines, right? Reset chart view. This is a static trend line because it comes off of 2 established high-low areas. So I'm not in this trade. I'm just showing you guys how you can take quick profit. If I was looking for a buy, this is what I would be in. But the reason I wouldn't want to buy here, we have a death cross forming. We have a chain again. US 30 has turned bearish. So this trades you can only go for 20 pips. If you go for 20 or for 50 pips, look at where price needs to go for you to hit take profit. Not that it can't go here, because I do expect a retest of the trend line and then possibly going for a retest of this trend line again and then selling. So in any case, I would wait for another sell on US 30 to ride price back down. Yeah, so I am not in this trade, but how you play these trades, do not go for the 20 pips take profit. Do not go for the 50 pips take profit. Go for the 50 pips. I'm sorry, do not go for the 50 pips take profit. Go for 20 pips, because that has a much higher confluence or much higher probability of hitting, or even 10 or 15. And you see that you could have just hit take profit there. So, but for me, that's a risky trade, since I do see US 30 being bearish. So right now for me, for any sell, I do see this death cross forming on the 5-minute. So for me, I'll wait for this price to come back up. So a buy is still valid if we're waiting for price to come back up, but I am not willing to take that chance. So a buy is valid. So price is likely to come back and touch the 9 EMA or the trend line. So in any case, I am looking for a sell on US 30. Most probable sell around here. Because ideally for me, if I'm going for 20 pips, I will go with a higher lot size. I'll do like 100 lot or 50 lot. And if you guys have seen the recent trades that I'm taking, I ideally stopped doing 100 lot trades. So I just want trades that make me comfortable. Yeah, so I will wait for this trade right here to ride price back down. And price is definitely going into a demand zone. So that's another reason not to even look for any sells within this zone. So let price do whatever it wants to do. Price might come down, get liquidity in here before the death cross, go back up, retest the trend line, and then once that happens, we get a good TP hitting. Like, I like holding my trades maybe 10 or 15 minutes at most. I don't like being in a trade and it's going up and down for like an hour. There goes gold. Perfect. So let's see what gold can do today, right? So what we'll do, we'll go on the high time frame as usual. And let's use our tool here to see what's happening on these three assets. So we go in here. Let's see this trend channel. There you go. So see what happened? Gold went out of this channel, the bearish channel, and went into a bullish channel. So I do expect gold to keep moving up. For US 30 and EU, I can almost guarantee that they're in a bearish channel. So let's see if we turn that on. Yep, there you go. We're in a bearish channel, right? So remember when I was talking about, but this channel normally moves because previously when price was around here, the bearish channel, the top was around here. But still, this is what you want to see when, if you're still holding a sell, price is still in our bearish channel. So this is what we want to see. US 30, I'm pretty sure it's in a bearish channel as well. There you go. Let's turn this on. And there you go, right? US 30 goes down. So give me a second. Let me show you guys. Bearish. No, not moving average. There you go. So it's even below a bearish channel. So US 30 is heavily, heavily bearish. So let me turn that off. So this is a nifty little trick. If you guys don't know what the bias is, turn this on your trend and then see where price is at. And that will definitely, that's why I told you guys when I had these indicators developed, it will be a game changer. So let me go back on that, right? So what happened to somebody who was taking 50 pip buy on US 30 here, right? And I've learned this the hard way. So when I tell you guys some of these things, it's not because I want to scare you guys, but for somebody who's going for 50 pips take profit, 50 pips stop loss, right? Ideally, they're still sort of safe because you have this demand level right here where US 30 is likely to jump up from. So this is why I said instead of 50 pips, take profit for that trade. If you'd have gone for a 20 pip take profit, or even between 10 and 20 pips, even though you're against the trend, this trade for you would have hit take profit. But if you went with 50 pips take profit, you would just be praying that this demand level gets held as we wait for price. So I do expect still for price to come back up, but if price doesn't come back up, do I feel bad? No, I'm already up 0.5% for the day. So I just take what the market gives me. EU, I still expect EU to keep going down. This trade, you should be at break even. So you guys go ahead and ask any questions if you have any. I will transfer these trend lines on my MT4 in the meantime. Because this morning I literally had to draw a ton of trend lines because I missed drawing them yesterday. This is, oh no, this is US 30. Nobody has any questions. Hopefully, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm guessing you understand the strategies. I'm guessing you took, or at the very least, you won the trades with us today, or you're still in those trades.
So if US 30 doesn't close below this trend line, would you ride it back up?
No, I am still looking for a sell on US 30 because so even look at the hourly. So we might get another trade like yesterday at the 11. So, oh, it's almost 11. We might get a similar trade like yesterday. But look at this, right? A retest of the 9. So if this death cross is coming in, we are likely to close. And right now it's 10:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The hourly candle on US 30 looks like it's closing below the 9 EMA. So we might get another trade like yesterday. So we need this hourly candle to close below the 9 EMA. So look at this, US 30 hasn't closed below the 9 EMA on the hourly in a couple of hours, right? So if this closes below, we want a 5-minute candle to retest the 9 EMA on the hourly. And guess what? Look at, so when I line that up on the hourly time frame, look at where that lines up as. It lines up ideally where I'm waiting to short US 30. So for a better, so remember the retest of the 9 EMA, it doesn't mean that it's going to touch the 9 EMA on the hourly and literally drop back down. Sometimes you have a little fake out to the upside. So we need to ask ourselves if it's to fake out to the upside, because ideally it tells us that the 9 EMA on the hourly will be around here. But look at where, so we always want to look for the most optimal entries. The optimal entry would be this trend line that we actually also used. So a sell for US 30 when this hourly candle closes. So right now, yes, I do expect US 30 to go back up. Am I willing to take that risk? No. I am just willing to wait for this hourly candle to close, and then hopefully by then we'll get a retest of this trend line, which will coincide with the 9 EMA on the hourly. And then at that point, and only at that point, will I enter a sell on US 30. And I think for these trades, since it's similar to like yesterday's trades, instead of 50 pips take profit, I will go for 100 pips take profit. Same risk, lower lot size, larger TP, larger stop loss. But that's how I plan on doing this trade. So I am not taking this sell until the hourly closes, which is in 10 minutes.
Okay.
What
But are
is-
you, and then you wanted to retest on the 5-minute, the 9 EMA.
I want the hourly 9 EMA to be retested by the 5-minute candle.
Okay.
Yeah. So so the hourly, when I'm looking for the hourly retest, I am looking, because of course, if you literally have to wait for if an hourly candle closes above or below the 9 EMA and you want a retest and closure below on the same time frame, you literally then have to wait for another hour to enter. But because you want to enter quickly, and because based on my back testing, those trades have a high win rate, I will wait for the 9 EMA to be the 9 EMA on the hourly to be retested by a 5-minute candle. And then and only then will I enter a sell. Because if I were to wait for the 9 EMA to get retested and closed below on the hourly, I literally have to wait for another hour to enter that trade. Gold. Gold is bullish, very, very bullish. Did we have any buy zones for gold? No. The only buy zone we had for gold was the retest of this trend line right here. And gold actually did a, what is this called? A golden cross. So the only buy for gold would have been off of this trend line. So you had closure above the trend line, and then this candle retested the trend line and closed above. So in any case, the only buy for gold would have been here. You would have been in a little bit of drawdown. But I wasn't looking for either buys or sells on gold. Gold was all over the place for me. That would have been the buy for gold. That's how you'd have entered that buy for gold. But we are not in that trade. But that's the only, so the reason I'm saying that's how you'd have entered is because you don't have any buys in here. I did say that I was bullish on gold. I wasn't looking for any sells on gold. And then you had this break above this trend line. The next candle did not quite retest the trend line, went above. The next candle retested the trend line and closed above the trend line. So that's why I'm saying that would have been a buy on gold. EU, oh, full TP on EU, there you go. So this EU trade, I did say what? This was 0.5%, 0.5% risk. US 30 was what did I say? US 30, I think I forgot to change my risk for US 30. For me, I entered US 30 with 0.375%. But for me, for FX pairs, I will always risk 0.5%. So we have a 0.5% win. We have a 0.5% win on EU. We have a 0.375% win on US 30. So you should be up for the day 0.875%. For me, I close trades early sometimes, or close half and secure. But ideally, this is ideally looking that you guys are riding the whole trade. But whatever you do, always, even though you're not going to secure half at 25 pips or 10 pips if you're doing FX pairs, set break even at when your trade is halfway in profit, set break even though you're not going to secure half, set break even. Because as you can see, whether it's US 30, whether it's EU, even though you just set break even halfway, your trade would still be running. You would have gotten the full profit. So honestly, do I feel like trading anymore? I don't think so today. As much as price is away from our markups, the only last trade I'll take is that US 30 sell, but you know, things are ideally away from our markups. So is there any, I like when price is around 4-hour zones, 3-hour zones, at least right now. So let's see, EU, we are in this. I'm not going to enter any other sell on EU, but we are in a bearish zone for EU. And actually, that's another reason why I took the sell up here, right? Because I'd anticipated EU to come and into this supply zone. But I got a better entry or the retest of the trend line. So I am not taking any other EU sell. Gold, I'm not taking anything on gold. US 30 is the only trade that I'm waiting on. So we have about 10 more minutes before we end the live session. So right now is the time for you guys to ask any questions if you have any. Wait this. So the other thing, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be making any money. I honestly, because I've traded in a lot of groups and some of the trades were either they go into drawdown, maybe you're holding the trade like for a whole day. You know, let me give you a quick, I think Audrey is here. So Audrey is the person who got me into trading. He's one of my best friends. So when Audrey and I first started trading, literally I would like nowadays I only trade like this morning session, like 1.5 hours. I make 1%, I make 5% a day, and then I go on. We used to trade with Audrey, maybe we used to wake up during London or maybe at 2 a.m. and we would just trade based off of signals that were sent elsewhere. And then maybe you'd be in that trade for a whole day. And then the worst thing was when I used to go to, and there goes US 30 back up. But we want this hourly candle to close. So it's literally following what I expected to do. So I used to be in a trade. The worst thing was when I go to sleep because I didn't know whether I was going to blow my account or not. So it used to be so bad such that I used to set my phone on do not sleep, right? So the screen would always be on, and then I would literally not really sleep, but ideally just lay down with my phone right there. So I wouldn't really sleep. I would just sleep like a light sleep because I was afraid of blowing my account because I would be so much in drawdown like a lot of times. So I used to make more losses than profits. So my mentality was like, oh, if my phone, you know, if I'm not going to sleep, my phone also is not going to sleep. So either I would end up blowing a lot of my life. Before then, we didn't know about prop firms or anything. So most of the times I ended up blowing like literally thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm not even kidding. So when I hear, you know, some people say, oh, I'm in, you know, I gotta pay off this. I've just been losing money. Literally, one of the issue I had was just focusing on losing, because every time I used to get into a trade, I was getting it without knowing the strategy. If it was a signal right here, even though I'm giving you guys signals, I am teaching you guys every day the strategies to enter a trade. So for me, I just used to buy and sell based on getting a signal of buy and selling, but I never used to know what is the idea behind this buy and sell. So, you know, that was one, you know, that was the beginning of how the things Audrey and I used to go through. We tested a bunch of EAs, right? We never really made money consistently with most of them. For some we did, but it got so bad. And, you know, Audrey and I normally laugh nowadays. So for me, one thing, if I try to win, I will always find a way to win. So I'm one of those people where I don't take no for an answer. So that's why when I was telling you guys, I spent 6 hours back to back yesterday coding, like my mind was literally mentally drained. The hours when I decide on doing something, I go all in. So I will go all in. So when we had some EAs that really weren't working, so we were like, okay, if we always if the EA is always hitting drawdown at a certain setting, we were taking the opposite of what the EA was doing. So if the EA, especially on US 30, and for you guys who have used different EAs out there, you know that using an EA on US 30 can, you know, it's a you need some sort of courage of good psychology. So what we would do, we would set another EA. So we would find a losing EA and get another EA that takes reversal. So maybe use trade copier. What is it called? A trade copier, like social trader tools. So if the EA takes a buy, then our accounts take a sell. Guess what? Those were the days that the EA would actually make money, and then we would end up losing our accounts or blowing our accounts. So when I tell you there's literally nothing that we haven't done, like especially, I don't know if Audrey, I don't know if you're here, but Audrey and I have literally been up and down. We've been in and out of hell trading. So when I actually tell
I'm
you
here.
guys, yeah. So and that's why you can hear him laughing. So the days we would actually set our trade copier to take the opposite of the EA would make money and then we would blow our accounts. And then when we would now go back and say maybe the market is back to normal, now the EA would make we would lose on the EA, and then our demo or our live account is when it's. But anyway, so when I tell you guys, at the very least, even though you're still working on your psychology, let's say you don't have a lot of money right now to do a 100K challenge, a 200K challenge, get a 10K challenge. A 10K challenge on MFF is what, $90? You can be able to sacrifice $90 on this, right? Even a 5K challenge, you're literally just gonna lower the lot size, right? If you don't even have that $50 for a challenge, get a demo. FTMO has demos, E8 has demos. Get a challenge. Use our literally take every trade that I'm taking on the live session. I've been in groups where they only take maybe one trade a day or something. Here we, at the very least, I think we've taken at least one trade a day over the last 2 weeks with a return of maybe 3.75% at the very least. But here we've been taking at least 2 trades a day or something, even though it's one trade. So get that demo, learn the strategies, and then even though you're not going to take up these indicators after the trial period is over, keep trading with me on the live session. The live session is going to remain free. Keep trading with me, learn my strategies, apply them to your own trades. Take 1 or 2 trades a day. Dean and Steven, I think, are here. Even you guys who, whatever you found me, I used to take 15 trades a day, or not 15, maybe 6 trades a day or 8 trades a day. And then I would have ideally the same profit I have right now. Right now, I'm only taking 1 or 3 trades a day. All of them are turning on to be winners. I am making even more than I used to make when doing 8%. So at this point, whether you're using your life funds, whether you're using a challenge, there is no need right now to be in any demo unless you cannot afford a demo. That is, so the only people who should be using demos right now are people who cannot afford a demo. But if you've learned my strategies, even though you have a 100K account, go ahead and do 0.01 until you get a hang of it. Keep increasing. Last week, I think I was only risking 0.125. This week, I'm risking, guess what, 0.5%, right? So just build that. You're not going to get, your psychology is not going to improve overnight. Your psychology will improve by learning why you're winning and why you're losing. Literally, I cannot do these things for you guys. And at this point, I'm even giving you signals based on my system, right? Easy money. So does anybody have any question? The hourly candle just closed. So we need the 9 EMA on the hourly to be retested for a sell. So similar to yesterday, let me see. So the only thing with yesterday for the sell, the trend was still slightly bullish. But today for this sell, the trend, if we go into the channel, I think we are in a bearish channel as well. So let's leave, yeah, so the 9 EMA would ideally be, the 9 EMA on the hourly, this would be the entry, but a better entry would be a retest of this trend line and retest of structure right here. So let's see if we can get this sell before, in the next 5 or so minutes. So keep in mind, price does not have to come back here. Price can literally waterfall to the downside. We do have this death cross that's forming on the 5-minute. So remember, if you're already up, however, so today, what did I say? Should be up 0.875. For me, I'm only up 0.5% because I closed some of my trades early. Do not risk your whole trades for the day. So there you go. Let's just be patient. If this was EU, another entry would be retest of the 9 EMA, but I want to get the best entry because here, this is 573. The trend line is 93. So this is a 20 pip zone. Our stop loss is 50 pips. So I don't want to risk half my percentage. If I miss this trade, well and good. I'll call it a day. I've already made money. So there's no need for me to push anything. And here's the other thing. I'm also copying this trades onto another live account. So and it's actually making money, right? Like a good amount of money. So even though you have a 1K account or 5K account, like beginning yesterday, let me just break this down to you guys. For yesterday, if you are using a 1K account and took every trade that I took and decided to get out when I said I'm getting out, you would be up 20, about, what is that? About $20 on a 1K account. So and twice that on a 2K account, 10 times that on a 10K account. So I also have I'm copying this one's exactly what I'm taking when I'm exiting on another account. So not a prop farm account, like another live account. So, and I used to be, honestly, this is also something new for me because what I was doing on some of my personal live accounts, I would just run some other EAs, but because I also want to be more confident with my trades, I said, let me put real money on the line. Let me trade. Now, what that also does for you, if you're copying from maybe a challenge to a live account, sometimes you can have a trade that goes against you 20K or maybe goes against you 1K, and then you keep extending your stop loss, right? Now, if you do that and that's connected to a live account, guess what? You're going to blow that account, right? Because if you're just using a demo, you can even go to a million drawdown, but you're not really risking anything. But if you have this connected to a live account of yours, for me, I know that if the 50 pip stop loss gets hit, it gets hit. I am not extending that stop loss because I know that these trades are copied on my live account. So I'm not willing to risk my live money for just hoping that the trade is going to turn around. So here we're just waiting. We're waiting for price to come back up here. It doesn't have to come back up here. I'm giving it 10 more minutes. If that doesn't happen, I will call it a day, but definitely this 9 EMA will be retested. So whether it's with this candle, whether it's with the next candle, the 9 EMA is definitely going to be retested. So I'll just stay on for 10 more minutes and see if we can get this trade filled in. So this trade also 0.5%. Let me see. I think this trades, we should be taking them with 100 pips. Like with this strategy, since it's still new, this hourly strategy, I think we should still be taking them with 100 pips stop loss instead of 50 pips, because we want the stop loss to be, we want the stop loss to be above the previous hourly candle. So, because like yesterday we could have gotten stopped out, right? Let me see if I can see what happened yesterday. I don't know if I can go back that far. No, I mean I can, but I don't know what candle. I think it was this candle. Yeah, it was this candle right here for a sell. So here, if we had that 50 pip stop loss, so is it this candle? Maybe I don't know if it's this candle, but it looks to be that candle from yesterday. So let me do a short position here. So we waited for retest of the 9 EMA, so the trade would have been here. If we went for our normal 50 pips take profit, 50 pips stop loss, that trade could have literally gotten stopped out and then price came back straight and hit profit. Yeah, this was the candle. But ideally, what I'm thinking for this strategy, for this hourly strategy, let the stop loss be above the previous hourly candle that gave you the entry. So that's why I'm saying we might need to be doing 100 pips stop loss on this. Because yesterday we went for those 50 pips or whatever. The trade went up 75 pips in drawdown and literally came back down, went straight into take profit. Yeah, so for this strategy, I will not say use 50 pips stop loss. For this strategy, use 100 pips stop loss. So for me, I'm still going to risk 0.5%. But instead of using a bigger lot size that I would use when I'm doing 50-50, I will just use a smaller lot size and risk the same amount. So this will be the trade. Let me just set that up on my trade manager. There you go. So I am, no, I am ready to go when price comes back up there. So this is patience, patience.
You looking for price to come up there on the hour?
I'm looking for, yes, I'm looking for the 9 EMA on the hourly to get retested. But since, so it's being retested right now. So that's an early entry, but I do see I'm trying to get the best entry, which would be on the trend line. So the trade should be active because the 5-minute candle just retested the hourly 9 EMA. But since we have a trend line here, I expect this trend line to hold. So I expect price to still come back up. So in theory, you should have been tapped in there, but personally, I am waiting for price up here.
Hmm.
Let's see. So, and do not, honestly, do not, as much as I say it, even though I'm going to do the same thing, do not risk, at the very least, risk half of today's profits. If you can, if you're willing to risk all of today's profits, which for me, I will do because I'm up 0.5% for the day. And I'm risking 0.5%, go ahead, but just be careful. But just do not risk something that you'll just end up blowing your profits for the end of the day. Because keep in mind, I am going offline, so I really cannot help you. If this trade hits stop loss and you lose today's profits and even end up in a hole, I am not gonna be live until tomorrow. So just be wary of that. What's the distance between this 89 and 94? That is a 5 pip difference. Now, if this trade breaks down, I'll call it a day because it will show that price is more than likely not going to come back up here. So ideally, that was the entry because if you're waiting for the retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly, but for me, I'm looking for an even better entry. And this lines up with the trend line that's been holding. It also lines up with the bottom of this sell channel right here. So that's why I'm still waiting for price to come back up there. But you know what? Technically, well, I should have entered on my MT4. Nowadays, I don't know why I'm focusing on trading view so much. On my MT4, I have a trend line that's literally right there. So, oh well. Yeah, sometimes it sucks having two different platforms that are telling you or showing you two different things. Gold. Okay, well, today was a good day, so let's see. Yeah, if this trade goes and breaks this trend line retest, I am done for the day because you see we had this perfect retest of the trend line. I'm sorry, of the 9 EMA on the hourly, and price literally went back down. If I had looked at my MT4, honestly, I would have just entered at that point where it did and forget about this trend line. But it's still early. Price can come back up. So let me see. I'll wait for the next 5-minute candle. If the next 5-minute candle keeps being bearish, I will see you guys tomorrow. If anybody entered this trade, it's still a valid sell. You guys entered at the retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly, which it did. And you would have been up about 87 to, you'd have been up about 17 pips. So remember, so long, if I say I'm entering here, you don't have to wait for my entry. Like, you know, you could have entered at the retest of the 9 EMA on the hourly, which is what we were looking for. For me personally, I just want a better entry that's only like 5 pips better. So 5 pips is not, 5 pips with 100 pips stop loss is not going to kill you. So you always don't have to wait for me to say buy and sell. So again, this is our channel in here. Feel free to post any results you have in the results page. Based on all these entries, I don't think personally that the live trades that I've had, I haven't had a losing day just yet in the last 2 or so weeks. So you can just search my name in here and you'll see Since this is live, I don't want to do that. If you have any trade ideas, go ahead. Nobody has really used this channel yet, so I might delete it. But if you have any trade ideas you want to share with the group, that is where you send it. News, this is where we just take a screenshot of what's in Forex Factory or investing.com and put it in there. Mindset, these are some of my top. So this is where you can post anything that you believe can help the team with mindset, right? Mindset is a big thing for traders. Indices, this is why I post the markups for US 30 or NAS or whatnot. Commodities for ideally commodities, gold, Forex majors, EU, mostly EU because that's what I trade. Forex miners, we haven't had a Forex miner trade since March 8th. See, Zoom live sessions, it's where I post the Zoom. DXY, this is where it's mostly Steven who posts in here. So definitely it's learning how the DXY moves is good for you guys. And of course, signals. This is amazing. These signals have been literally on fire. Excuse me, I have an account that's taking each and every one of these signals. I am trying to work on the trailing stop for it. So actually, let me log into that account and see how it's doing. But what I'm doing, the way I'm scripting my AI for entering these signals on my account is, let me see. So I'd gone over it before the session started. So if I have an odd USD buy for 20 pips stop loss, 20 pips take profit, I'm doing 20, my AI is entering on my MT4 with 20 pips stop loss and 50 pips take profit. But what I'm trying to code is to activate a trailing stop at 20 pips so that at the very least, I'm still securing this. So this is gonna help, especially in heavy news, because like for US 30, I'm doing 50 pips stop loss and 100 pips take profit with a trailing stop getting triggered at 50 pips. So what this would help, especially during news, you guys have seen how like US 30 spikes for 100 pips on one candle or 50 pips. So instead of making 50 pips, I would ideally make my trailing stop would get triggered at 50 pips and then it keeps getting trailed up. But if I that thing has just been bothering me. But if I'm unable to do that, I'll just set for the take profit and stop loss that's shown here. And there you go, price is coming back up. Let me log into that account. So this is literally patience. But a good day so far today. Yeah, so I need to work on that trailing stop aspect because it's making me lose money. See if we can get, so if this candle closes, doesn't come back up, I'll just see you guys tomorrow, but I will still be looking to enter this trade away from the live session because I just don't want to keep being on the live session for this long. And remember, for these signals, always do not enter blindly. Use, at the very least, if you have access to this indicator and you get so for example, the AUD, well, let's just go for the gold buy on the 5-minute, right? So if you get a signal right here, come back in here, use that little tool in here. If you can't tell what the bias is, just by looking, turn on this trend channel. So if you get a buy, I think the buy was maybe fired on one of this candle. Wait for the retest of the 9 EMA or wait for the retest. If it's a buy, wait for the retest of the bottom of that channel, right? But always do not get into those signals blindly. Always follow the bias. So if a signal tells you to buy and your bias is a sell, after your analysis, ignore that signal. So remember, no signal is 100%. And since we are not even on the live session to even say here, we need to wait for a retest or to analyze that. If a signal doesn't make sense to you, ignore that signal. Yeah, I don't think we'll get an entry for this trade. this death cross is literally materializing. So personally, I missed that trade because I was trying to be perfect. But if I looked at my MT4, if only I would have just entered there because I had a trend line supporting price. But so for you guys who are in this trade, all the best to you guys. If price does come back up here, I will enter that trade. Yeah, other than that,
Got in with the trend line on that one.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. And I know that's Lee because that's the other trend line person in here. He's definitely perfected the art of the trend line. So yeah, you guys should be up 87, 57. That's
buy or sell?
Based on what?
No, on this US 30.
So we are not in any US 30 trade. The US 30 trade was here for a sell.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. If you entered based on what I said, this was your entry. For me personally, so remember my I don't copy any trades, so the entries I take are based on my own whatever. But the entry was here for me. I want an entry on this trend line, but it's for a sell. I'm not sure price is going to come back up there. We literally have this death cross that's coming here. So what I foresee this 9 EMA not letting price even come back to this entry. But if it does, I will sell US 30 and then that will be it. Other than that, come on, let's see. It just keeps faking me out. Okay, let me wait for now the close of this 5-minute candle. If it doesn't, then that will be it for me. Personally, I'm not in that trade because I'm waiting to get filled in. Yeah, but I expect this 9 EMA to keep holding price down. So I don't expect the 9 EMA to literally let price shoot all the way up there.
Do you think signal, can you give, do you think actual value, like, 3200 or 31? Do you think that is possible?
Let me see. Is it possible? It is, but I have to redo the signal. So let me think about that. Based on how I've done them, I don't think it is. I would have to that's interesting. Let me look into that. It might be because if I'm setting that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll look into that and I'll let you know. This is literally like watching paint dry. But to be honest, ever since I just started being this patient, I stopped FOMOing into trades. Because previously, like way back, I can see myself trying to catch this sell early and then US 30, and then maybe I would go with the bigger lot size and then I would come near to getting stopped out. But just this patience has just been, I literally don't feel FOMO anymore. So right now, I think every trader is still growing in every way, but because I don't think anybody's like 100% good at anything. But personally, I'm still working on the risk. So that's why nowadays I'm taking trades by risk percentage and not caring about the money I'm making. Because if I'm caring about the money I'm making, I'll maybe try to make 5 grand or 6 grand. But if I just focus on risk, I just find that I'm automatically making even more consistent. Well, not more, I'm making consistent profits that I really wouldn't be making if I was just focusing on the value. So this to me is perfect because it's aligning with the bottom of this sell channel. And I definitely can see a lot of sellers down here. You can see that spike up and immediate spike to the downside. So we have about 1.5 minutes. So this is too slow. Yeah, but good trades today. Yeah, gold is ideally just ranging today. Yeah, 20 seconds. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna come in here within 10 or 20 seconds. So I'll just monitor it away from the live session. But other than that, unless anybody else has any questions, personally, I will enter when gold tests this trend line that we drew, I will enter a sell on, I will enter a sell on US 30. But other than that, I will see you guys here tomorrow, same time, Thursday. So today, if we are up, what, one trade was 0.5, the other one was 0.375, because I forgot to change my what. So we should ideally be up almost 3%. So if you literally took every trade I took on the live session since Monday, today you should be at the very least 3% in profit, or even if you're closing early, maybe 2.5% profit for the week, right? So that's almost, and we still have 2 more trading days to go. So you can, it just goes to show you can easily pass a challenge just by taking my trades in 1 week, or even in a week and a half, right? That's even cutting down on the 2.5 weeks, thinking that we take 0.5% every day. So keep in mind, like what I told you guys, even banks, if you take your money to the bank right now, that's another thing. Do not be greedy, especially if you're funded. Do not be greedy. Banks give you like what? Here we made 1.25% for the day, right? In 1 day. Let me see how much interest on reduced pay per year. Look at that. Per year, if you take your money to a bank, look at the return you'll get per year. Look at just in 1 day, we didn't over leverage. We followed our strategies to the T. We made more than you could have made by taking your money to the bank. So get a spreadsheet like this, record your daily wins in percentage. Like here today, let me actually just record that. 1 win for US, what was that? EU was 0.5%. US 30 was 0.375%. So there you go. So up 3% already for the week. If that was a 100K challenge, you're up 3%. But just take it slow. Look for it, let it be like a working day, right? So for those of you who got jobs, same here, right? Every day you wake up and go to your job, right? You have something to look forward to. So there's no need for you to rush to try and make 100% or 10% return in a day, right? So think of trading as a job. Like for me, I know I'm clocking in, quote unquote, for trading at New York Open. I'm clocking out at around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I know I'm working for an hour and a half. If I can literally make 1.5% return for, so let me put this in perspective. If it's a 100K account, even a 0.5% return for a day, 0.5% on a 100K account is 500, right? So if I'm making 500, how many people make $500 in 1 hour? Or 1.5 hours, right? Think of it. This trading thing is a long game. It's an end game. I cannot drill this into you guys. You guys have to seek this for yourself. It's a mentality thing. How many, think about that. Even $200, if you're making $200 a day in that 1.5 hours we are trading, how many people are making that in a day? The average, what is the average, what is it called? When people, minimum wage, right? Here's another way to think about it. Average minimum wage in the US. No, in the US. Okay, 7.25. Let's even give this $10 an hour, right? I think it's so this is the federal one. I think the average state one is maybe 10, but or even let's consider even $15, right? $15 an hour. The average person maybe goes to work 8 hours a day, and that's not even in retail. People get work maybe 4 hours a day or 5 hours, but let's consider it 8 hours a day, right? So 8 hours a day, you have 15 times 8. So you're making more in 1 hour, 1.5 hours than somebody who is consistently working every day for 8 hours. So just keep that in mind when thinking about trading. But other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm still waiting for US 30 to come back up. If it comes back up around 32,593, I will sell US 30, 100 pips stop loss, 100 pip take profit. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
All right, thanks, bro.